What is going on, spacers and explorers? Ember here with another one for you. Today we're talking Starfield and the different classes of ships. What those different classes mean for when you are building or generally just using them. I do want to make sure we mention this will probably be a video with some minor spoilers in it. We're going to be going over some ships that you get from quests or things like that, and there is a fair amount of gameplay from specific missions that you partake in further on in some of the storylines. So just getting that out of the way, if anyone is still trying to get through that or anything like that, you can go ahead and save this video for later and come back. Before we get too far into it, head down below this video, absolutely obliterate that like and subscribe button, stick around at the end of the video for an original meme, and without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so there off the bat is not that big of a difference between all of the different ship classes that you can choose from in Starfield. What this boils down to at a base level is whether or not your ship is going to be able to use more powerful modules that are tied to using a C-class reactor or better, or if you have a faster, more nimble ship that maybe has less shields. However, the shields can recharge a little bit faster over time. And that'll kind of just give you an idea for the difference between the A and C class ships. The B class ships live somewhere in the middle, and you can really customize and build a ship in almost any class that you want for almost any kind of content. These three ships will not only be differentiated by their class designation, but we're going to be using ships from three different ways that you can obtain them in the game. The Class A ship will be a quest reward. The Class B ship will be from a purchasable vendor, and a Class C ship that we have will be one that I crafted myself. You will notice in the background gameplay here, I'm using the Star Eagle A-class ship, and that is the reward for completing the Freestar Collective quest line. This ship excels in a couple of areas, namely it is fast and nimble as its A-class reactor would suggest. And though we're not really going to showcase it here in the background footage, it has a EMP style weapon that is going to be its third weapon. So you're going to namely see us using our lasers to take down shields and then missiles for everything else. But there is that third weapon that can target the different ship systems when you go into your targeting mode. And that ties kind of into the Freestar Collective Ranger fantasy. So you're going to be able to board and disable ships more easily with a weapon like that. It's not actually going to deal any damage to your shields or your hull. So once you get the shield down with the lasers, you can come in with that suppressor weapon and take out the engines right away, or take out any of the other systems that the ship has to deal damage to you, or engines, grav drive, anything like that. It's really, really great for taking out all kinds of different systems and is a very versatile ship. Moving on from there, the next ship is the B-class ship. It is the Aegis, and you can purchase this from the Deimos Star Yard in the Sol system. This is one of the ships that the UC Vanguard will have in their own fleet, and there's some really, really fun mechanics behind the ship setup that they have going on here with the different weapons. So whereas the Star Eagle was a little bit more nimble for the fighting in close quarters and worked out pretty well in this heavily saturated combatant area, the Aegis had its own challenges, but there were some very, very cool interactions with individual ships specifically. You can tell this ship is definitely meant more for the small scale battle, but dealing with its different combatants a little more quickly than some of the other ships might. And this is really where I come back to build your ship how you want if you're going to build it, or find a ship that has a setup that you like, that kind of vibes with your own playstyle. So whereas if you're looking to build and board different ships, you might want to make sure you have a suppressor type weapon. If you're a little bit less interested in boarding ships in taking them over and adding them to your own fleet, something like the Aegis might be great because it's going to deal a whole lot of damage in not very much time, since it's set up with missiles, ballistics, and lasers that you can all be firing in tandem. And what I thought was most interesting about this ship is that the ballistics weapon fires a little bit more in a shotgun spread. So you can kind of tell this ship is built, since it also has some pretty high engine capacity, it's built to speed up, get right up next to the ships it's trying to take out, and use that spread package to deal very quick burst damage to some of those ships. Since it seems a little bit more designed for that close quarters instant annihilation tactic, in this specific scenario where you have tons and tons of enemies around you all over the place, it can be pretty difficult. And while I was in one of these fights where you have the most enemies there, I blew up kind of a lot. I definitely was destroyed multiple times.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Because I simply did not have the fast enough regen on my missile system and my ballistic systems. So it's really important to know what you're going into and what ships will work out best for you in those scenarios. Finally, we're getting into the C-class ships. This is the ship that I built myself, and disclaimer, though it does have a wide range of very powerful weapons, for some reason when I get into the shipbuilder, the only thing that I can come out with is some form of square or rectangle ship, and that's it. I don't know what it is, but I have a little bit of difficulty, you know, while organizing the interior of my ship and how I want it to look, not really being able to translate that into something that isn't directly a square or rectangle. So hit me with some of your best ship builds. I would love to see them. I really think all those ones on Reddit and Twitter that I see all the time, they look so fantastic, and maybe it'll give me some inspiration, so I appreciate that there. Getting back into it though, I feel like I managed to secure a pretty good in-between ship for still being able to deal quite a lot of damage and take a significant amount of punishment as well. And this echoes what I've said multiple times. You can absolutely build a ship that will function and work perfectly well in almost any playstyle in any class. You could go in with an A-class ship that would run a tanker with tons of cargo space for all your smuggling and contraband needs, and you would be perfectly fine to do so. You might run into a little bit of maneuverability on an A-class ship there, but it will be pretty functional, and you can still definitely defend yourself. But there are some differences for sure between the A through C class ships, and with what I've done here, I kind of feel like I built something of a muscle car style ship. I'm still being able to hit very high top speeds with the engines that I put on it. My maneuverability is at 100, and so I have a pretty decent fighter style C-class ship, and that's perfect for me and my own playstyle. And after tons and tons of time testing out all of these ships, there is definitely one thing I have to suggest that you do, especially if you're playing on mouse and keyboard as I am. Go and change your key bindings for the third weapon fire slot. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you. You've probably seen it in the background gameplay too much at this point, but I accidentally will turn on my scanning visor essentially while I'm in ship mode if I'm trying to shoot a missile or something like that, and it just kind of takes you out of the fight for a minute and is just overall a little bit horrendous. So definitely get those key binds where you want them to be so you can truly feel like you are in a cockpit of a ship and you are able to defend yourself to your fullest capacity. And spacers, that's gonna have to be all from me for now. Let's go ahead and throw that meme up on the screen. Go ahead down in that comment section and let me know what your favorite class of ship to build or fly is and where you get it. I've been having an absolute blast in Starfield lately. I hope you have as well. And until next time, be without form, swift as lightning.